The Indie Stone have been on fire with the patches recently, and build 42.3 is no exception, as it brings some seriously needed fixes, great new additions, and balance changes. But with the list being super long, I've highlighted some of the must-know things. Starting off with the new stuff. They have added a subscribe to Awpenheimer button, an incredible addition. I'm sure you're tired of that gimmick by now. You can just hit like. Alright, finalized first draft of a system for reverse engineering recipes from items. If a player can learn any recipe from an item with this system, right-clicking on the item will provide a right-click option with a light bulb option to research craft. Additionally, in debug mode, right-clicking will reveal all of the information regarding researchable recipes. Researching an item's craft recipe will also grant the same amount of XP as performing that craft recipe would provide. And this system also includes a new tech tree progression via item recipe research for a bunch of things, such as tongs, shears, scissors, lower tier knives, many baseball bats, spiked clubs, and weapon type recipes. Now this is a big change that I'm very happy with, and I'm sure you are too, because I previously mentioned that the crafting system was a bit overwhelming, with a huge amount of recipes in the crafting panel. There was just too much to look at, honestly. But with this, being able to reverse engineer recipes that you actually want, while also providing some XP, will make the whole crafting experience a lot better, I think. Now, of course, I haven't fully tested it in a playthrough, so I can't say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but from what I have seen so far, this is a great step in the right direction. They have also improved vertical aiming by adding up and down aiming angles for weapons. Pressing Shift plus Rack, which is X by default, will now cycle through fire modes for select fire weapons. Guns can now have a safety by adding safe to the list of fire mode possibilities, although none of the base guns currently have this. One of my all-time favourite mods is Bigger Player Avatar, and they've taken it to the next level by adding a new player customization screen. I'm very happy to see this one added. I think this is a huge improvement on the character creation screen, and they made the box way bigger than the mod ever did. Although I will still be keeping it, as I like it being bigger in-game too. So it'd be nice to see the devs implement this as well. They have added 2 new animations for stopping a spear charge, added disable choice to sandbox options for electric and water shutoff dates. They added/restored some annotated stash maps, added 6 new flyers for AMZ Steel, Home Sweet Gnome, Roxy's Roller Rink, and Spiffo's Hiring for West Point, Dixie, and Louisville. They updated the blacksmith van texture, added visible clay deposits. It is now possible to take clay from clay tiles, although it is a work in progress. That's a nice one. They added a wooden mason's trowel and a bone fleshing tool, plus the recipes for carving them, and added large and small plant drying racks made from sticks and rags. This is so players can build them without needing twine, which is great for those people who enjoy just pure wilderness runs. Double clicking on an item in the craft or build menu will now build it. They added 5 new types of vans, and one of them is incredible. The blacksmith van has smithing related supplies and literature, as well as most of the equipment found in the metalworking van. The butcher van has tools required to hang and process meat, as well as handle some of the mess. They didn't actually mention what you'll find in the glass vans, and this one happened to be empty. So I don't know whether that's coincidence or it's still a work in progress. The leather van has tanned hides ready for use, as well as plenty of awls. And by far the best one is the mobile library, which has a high chance for skill books across the board. Note, these should not spawn normally in Louisville or its airport, as these are generally used for rural areas and smaller communities. I feel like with Build 42, books have been kind of hard to come across. And with this, you have a literal mobile library. So you could find the skill books that you need right on your doorstep. Shout out to whoever came up with this idea, I think it's great. Also shout out to those that play on Mac, and they have added native support for Apple Silicon Macs, as well as Intel Macs as before. And onto the final new addition, they have added a survivorswap.lua debugging tool. And this adds a few functions to modify a survivor's appearance, skills, traits, profession, as well as completely change the inventory and worn gear based on data defined in an LUA table. These can be called mid-game. Onto the balance section. The livestock farmer profession will start the game knowing the recipes to make barbed wire. New characters that start the game with the carpenter or repairman profession, or the handy trait, will know the appropriate improvised melee weapon recipes. And if you go with the brawler trait, you'll know the bolt bat recipe. Molotovs can be crafted using alcohol, tequila, vodka, or whiskey. and denim strips in place of rags. Fishing rods can also be crafted or repaired using a bone or forged fishing hook. Rain will slowly replace water with tainted water for items on the floor that can be filled. They rebalance the craft recipes for bone, bullet vest, spiking soft armor, tire, and wood armor. But the bullet vest armor and spiking soft armor craft recipes only had their XP awards increased, as did the other recipes. Generally, these armor recipes will use auto-learn all and not auto-learn any if they have multiple auto-learn skills, i.e. they are harder to auto-learn than most recipes in general. The skill level requirements and auto-learn level requirements were adjusted to provide more of a sense of progression, generally following a from low to high, forearm shins to shoulders to thighs, body armor progression. Generally speaking, instead of being able to make most of an entire set of armor upon hitting a certain skill level's breakpoint, it'll be paced out in a slower fashion. So that just feels like a complicated way of saying, instead of unlocking a full body armor set at a certain level, you'll be able to craft the different pieces as you progress through the levels. They also adjusted the auto-learn requirements for several craft recipes, mostly related to improvised type weapons and carving. This was done to provide a more gradual progression with the auto-learn recipe with these skills. Some skills have lower requirements, some have higher, but the net effect should provide the players with more options in general as they progress in skill levels. In addition to a more gradual progression, it means less spammy learned recipe messages when gaining skill levels. Alright, that was kind of a mouthful to read all of that, but in short, more gradual progression when crafting weapons, armor, and carving. The Make Firecracker recipe now produces a distinct crafted firework item instead of the string of red firecrackers. Added hand axes to the item clutter pools for a couple of campsite type stories. Axes are more rare in general in Build 42 due to the broad loot spawn nerf. Well, that's a change that just makes sense because of course there would be some hand axes at campsites. They reduced the amount of milk, sugar, and bacon fat needed to prepare muffins. Wild chickens and turkeys stopped producing eggs and feathers unless being taken care of. Now that's a good one. You actually need to keep up with your animal husbandry if you want those tasty eggs. They changed how much thirst water fluids provide for 1 litre. Recipes for remote triggers and sensors and traps that use electronic parts now grant electrical XP, scaling with their skill level requirements. And finally, a small balance for fishing. And that's all they said about the fishing balance, so I'm not too sure what it is, but we'll see. Onto the real short section of sounds. There are new sounds for when scything grass, drinking hot drinks out of a mug or teacup, sharpening blades, making a coffee using a coffee machine, shearing sheep, and crafting sheet sling bags. Plus adding garbage footstep sweeteners. Yeah, I'm all for that. The more sounds in the game, the better. I think every action in the entire game should have a sound. But that is definitely a big ask right now. They changed the bullet hit body to bullet impact for firearm zombie hit sound, reworked the rip clothing sound, and fixed a bunch of things with incorrect or broken sounds. Alright, onto the longest section of the patch notes, which I have cut down massively. The fixes. Real quick though, you're about to hear the word fixed quite a lot. So if you're allergic to it, you'd better leave. But maybe don't leave, there's some great fixes in here that you'll definitely want to know about. They fixed being able to hit zombies from far away in melee combat, which gets rid of the issue of hitting the second row of zombies instead of the first. Quite a deadly one that. Fixed the duplication when spam adding animals to trailers. Fixed the issue with refilling lighter recipe. Fixed the wooden chair becoming unavailable when carpentry is at level 5. Now here's some big ones. They fixed not being able to wash clothes in rain collectors or other fluid containers. Fixed not being able to plumb rain collectors. Finally. So you can all get rid of those temporary mods that fix that. They finally work. They fixed tainted water handling, so tainted source always taints destination. Fixed overproduction of dung by wild animals, and high levels of dung for verming and farming animals. They sorted out the Frankenstein animals on Butcher Hook, and one that I didn't know about, which is pretty funny. They fixed the smoker characters accumulating stress when drinking milk. Milk is now 100% less stressful. They fixed players not keeping their momentum when vaulting over fences, either sprinting or running, and fixed errors when trying to repair items. They fixed the radial menu option for siphoning gasoline, picking the first empty fluid container instead of preferring gas cans. They fixed some alleyway code using get stress and not get basic stress, which would apply extra stress to characters with the smoker trait. Now that one does sound good, because I do take the smoker trait. and I've been noticing an incredible amount of stress. So hopefully this reduces that even a little bit. They sorted some issues with inappropriate vehicle key spawning. They fixed issues with water sources displaying an empty context menu when the player isn't thirsty, dirty, and has nothing to fill. The drink option will now always show, regardless of the first level, as this was being interpreted as a bug. Yeah, I actually thought that was a bug as well, to be honest. If you watch my Let's Play on my second channel, quite a few times I'd go up to the sink, right click, and there'd be no option, and I'd just think that certain sink is bugged out. But it turns out I just wasn't thirsty. Alright, we're in the final stretch now, just 10 fixes left. Don't click away, I know you're getting a bit bored. We're almost done. They fixed masks not being unequipped and re-equipped when drinking. That was annoying. Fixed some nutritional values of fluids. Fixed dismantling electrical items, still testing for favorited. And they fixed being able to sleep on out of gas signs. I never saw that one before. They fixed missing areas on the in-game map. Fixed the Moodle size option not affecting the displayed Moodle size immediately. They fixed plant drying racks not being pick-upable, fixed characters failing to climb down ropes attached to a fence, fixed mod options not saving, and they fixed animal and zombie corpses clipping with the ground tiles when dead. Right, that long-ass list is over. But there is way more if you want to go check it out for yourself. Overall though, this seems like a great patch, and the devs are putting in some good work right now. Although they still haven't added raccoons. But there is a mod for that, which I showcased in my last video of the 10 best new mods you should try in Build 42. So go check that out. But before you do, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have an amazing day, and peace.